All right. Hi, world. This is our first reaction video, and it's to the movie. Jesus Christ, this
Damn,
is a
she
great
really
way
didn't
to.
like that
Yeah.
joint.
And this is to the movie Suicide Squad 2. Um, I had a whole game plan of how I was going to talk about this movie, but when I started talking to Mimi, love the logo.
Now I know where to put it.
Yeah. No, now after talking to Mimi, I realized that I just want to I want to set up the movie and say, this was a spiritual successor to Suicide 1. But I feel like I just want to go into your take on what didn't you like about
Yeah,
this
because
movie?
like this opinion that you've got is wildly different than the other folks on this table here.
Yeah, so tell me about it. What did you not like about it? What didn't it work for you? Specifically, please. I want your take.
Deliver my take.
Oh.
The first entire just felt like a continuation of the first movie, where it's like you give me this mutants and other degenerates who are basically they're expendable. We're gonna blow them up. Boring. Move on. Give me something new. It's the second movie, different director. Give me a different. It's gonna be just kind of more of the same. The whole time, like from beginning to end, like a hodgepodge of
Let's try that again. Great ground rehearsal. Are we all good?
Yeah, we good now.
Hi, everyone. This is the movie review for this movie Suicide Squad 2. I go by the name of Big J. This is Mimi. This
Hi.
is Wally B. And we hope to keep bringing you movies reviews like this and more content on the network, on the Semi Pro Joe's network. Really excited to give my takes and views on this, but I want to start off with someone who did not like this movie and who was very down on this movie, which is, I think, it's fair because you want to get all perspectives whenever you're watching a movie.
I'm interested to hear this.
And
I want to know.
so I want to know, Mimi, how do you feel about this movie? What did you dislike about this movie?
There's a lot I disliked about this movie. For the first and foremost, that it felt like several teeny little movies all smushed together that never quite formed a single cohesive movie. Kind of like the first movie that I also didn't enjoy, but for totally different reasons. The first half of this movie, I could have just not cared less. I had a hard time staying engaged because I'm like, you're giving me this gratuitous waste of a team at the beginning of the movie. You're gonna have like a freaking weasel rat dude, basically, like who has no purpose in this film. So why?
That's the one thing I knew about the movie before I watched it is that Weasel is
just
like
why?
pointless as
Just
hell.
why? Just why?
it
Like
was
who?
funny, though.
Anyone
It
who
was
watched the
funny.
first movie.
That's
It was
what I'm trying to
hilarious.
say.
No, anyone who watched the first movie knew that at the beginning you just saw this gratuitous waste of characters. And I'm just like, we don't need more of the same. And that's
what's the
exactly
name
what
of
they
Now,
gave
I
us.
found that part really, really interesting.
But
Because
what-
like they went into it like it was about to be a battle, and then
And
all
it's
of a
like,
sudden,
oh, we got sold out by one of the characters.
All bets are
Oh,
off.
man. And that's another thing.
What's the name of this? You said it's gratuitous waste of characters, right?
Yeah,
What's the name of this movie?
Suicide Squad.
right. But the problem, the
What are
point
we
is,
doing here?
can I finish my
Yes.
critique?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Jesus.
Sorry.
We want to know what you think.
We're not
we're not gonna let you know what we think.
Okay,
I'm
my
gonna chill.
bad.
I'm
I
gonna
did-
chill.
I
I'm
did
gonna
that.
shut up. I'm gonna shut up. You're
All
right.
I understand that the concept is a Suicide Squad. I get it. However, if you're going to give me a movie about defunct superheroes going on these impossible missions to get shit done, I understand ahead of time. Let them die in the middle of the movie when they're doing the shit. Like, not at the beginning of the movie when that whole beach scene could have literally cut that out. It wouldn't have. It didn't add anything to the movie.
No, I think it did because like in that group was Harley Quinn and
Colonel.
I wanted her to get her thing because I haven't. Let her cook because then we can get to the part because I want to. Yeah.
Now, when you get towards the middle and towards the end, into the end of the movie, I was all about that shit. Like that was it was entertaining, it moved, it made sense. I cared at that point. Like that was the second half of the film. I could watch that part again, no problem.
So you're talking about the scene where they're in the like the nightclub, it's coming out of his head.
Yeah,
like,
right about there. Right about
movie?
there, and to the rest of it, I could watch that again, no problem.
Okay.
You couldn't give me money to watch the first half of the movie again.
So did you find the Harley Quinn stuff at all entertaining?
No.
Okay.
Because I'm like, because again, it didn't necessarily tie in a way at the beginning in a cohesive way that first I was like, what, are you getting married? What is going on here? Why? They plucked you out of a hole, cleaned you up, put you in a dress, and now you're banging the Presidente. Okay, why? If you're going to have that as part of if that's what kind of kicks off the second half of the film where the whole plan comes together and the heroes end up saving the day and whatever, fine. But the first half of the film, do that. Include that. Don't have this like, oh, hey, we're doing this distraction thing here for this other team to come in, and then we've got 2 people from this team that survived, and then we're all going to come together and have the rest of the movie together.
You know,
I get the idea behind it was like comic relief and all that stuff, but I'm sorry. Like, if I can't get engaged with the beginning of a movie, and then after the end of the movie, find a way to make all those pieces make sense, you've wasted my time. Again, the middle to the end made sense, fit together, flowed, not a waste of my time. I enjoyed it. The fighting was great. The effects were great. The plot made sense. I'm like, okay, this is good. I just didn't care enough about Polka Dot Dude. Didn't care at all about the Weasel guy. I didn't care about Homeboy with the spear. Didn't know any of these people. Didn't care. So when they died, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
And so you give me a little bit about Bloodsport. You give me a little bit about Ratcatcher. You give me, and with Colonel
Flag.
Yeah. I knew him. And Harley even. I knew them. I had history behind them. I was able to connect with them, and I cared about what happened to them in the movie. I cared because I knew them. Those other characters, and even John Cena, Peacemaker.
Oh, that motherfucker.
Peacemaker's character.
I can't stand.
I had so many questions. About him. But anyway, I didn't care about the others. I didn't care about them. And I don't like watching a movie where you never give me a reason to care about characters. Because then whatever happens to them in the movie, I don't care. Because I don't care about them. I don't know them. That was my biggest
I was going to say
before you cook.
Yeah.
So narratively, I just want to give a brief outline of like the plot. And she's told you what she didn't like. But here's a brief outline of the plot. It starts with a song from Johnny Cash called "Locked Up in Fulton County," which is I thought that was an interesting way to start.
Folsom Prison.
Fulton Prison, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, you're right. Fulton Prison, and I thought that was an interesting way to start a movie, especially like tonally.
Yeah.
Because I always think that's obviously they starts off in jail, but it's an interesting way to tonally start off a movie. So I was wondering where they were going to take me, and it starts off with a guy. An older guy bouncing a ball and then kills a bird.
Yeah.
Which is like, whoa, okay, like this is awkward. And then Amanda Waller, played by Viola
Davis, yeah.
I will say this. There's only probably 2 things I liked about the first movie. It was I liked Harley Quinn. I liked Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn. I thought she was great and unpredictable, and
she was made for that role.
That was great. Viola Davis is Amanda Waller. That is Amanda Waller forever, and I don't ever want to hear no one else is supposed to do that role.
Yeah, yo, like she don't even like she haven't in her playing Amanda Waller. She hasn't even had like a whole movie and storyline to really flesh out, but like. She like they picked
Embodies
the
it.
perfect actress for that, yo.
Embodies the character, and
Yeah.
in this, like I felt like she was paint by numbers of Amanda Waller in the first movie. The second movie, she's just like when the weasel dies, she's just like
Yeah.
like that.
That's Amanda Waller. yo.
That's a look of, are you effing kidding me?
Like,
the
did no one
weasel-
check to see if the weasel could swim?
She's like, I'm working with little amateurs here. Like, that's funny.
That was
She doesn't
hilarious,
say anything. She just has a look.
Yeah.
So it starts off in the prison, where it's sort like like Mimi said, it's sort of like the first movie where they're assembling the team, but they're doing it faster, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like speeding through it.
They
Right.
jumped right into it.
And that's why I was like, they're doing this for a purpose, and I
Purpose.
ended up loving the way they did
Yeah,
it. That's
'cause
why I
you-
said that.
You wouldn't want to know these people because they're not going to be there for very long.
Right.
And I think
you're sitting there
that's-
thinking the whole time, like, this is great. Something's going on.
Yeah,
Something's
something is
going on.
happening, and-
Something's about to happen.
Because but they're fooling you because they're showing you Captain Boomerang, they're showing you Flag, they're showing you Harley Quinn shows up right
yeah.
before they get on the thing, but you're not seeing the characters you're not seeing John Cena,
Yeah.
you're not seeing Idris Elba. Wait a second, where are they? What's going on? But like all this momentum is going into this thing, and it
Yeah.
seems familiar. To me, that's tonally done on purpose.
And then they all of a sudden flip the switch. Like
Right.
everybody's in position, and then Blackguard, Davis's character.
Which was he was great in the movie because
yeah,
he
yeah.
was very funny.
He had
was
that
like-
one role, but he was funny as hell in that joint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's in the movie. He has two seasons. Is one when you first
Oh, that's
meet,
right, yeah.
when you first meet Idris Elba's character, Bloodsport,
Mm-hmm.
and because he's coming out of the bathroom,
with the
and-
toilet paper
yeah,
on his
yeah,
shoe.
that was like completely nasty, but very funny.
Yeah.
But what you realize about Amanda Waller, and this is why I think it's subtle. She knew the dude sold him out.
Yeah. She knew
That was
all
on,
that.
That was on purpose.
Yeah.
The first when they were meant to be cannon fodder.
Yeah.
That's how she thinks of everyone.
Like James Gunn said, he shot this joint as a war movie, like an old school 70s war movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got the strategist that like she's going into battle and has two teams and knows one of them's going to take an L as a decoy. Like she
It
knew
did have
that
a very
the entire
Vietnam-y
time.
type feel to it.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that was on purpose. So like once you get to that point where they destroy everybody on that beach,
Yeah,
it's
and
now clear that the
hilariously-
story's starting. Yeah.
Hilariously and very viciously.
And it took it away from the first movie because this is supposed to be not a sequel and not a full reboot,
Yeah.
but like something else, and they had to like separate it, right?
Yeah.
But even though I push back in saying it's not a full reboot because there's certain a full sequel only because there's certain parts where I'm gonna get to a little later where Harley Quinn, how she acts only makes sense if
You only seen
the first movie
one in Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
when Idris Elba lands on the beach, it's like, Amanda Waller, how'd you do this? I'm not getting any enemy combatants. And you
Yeah.
realize that's literally what she doesn't care
She's
about.
like, don't worry about it.
She doesn't care about the brand names. She doesn't care who these people are. They're all a means to the end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is how vicious she is. And
Yeah.
that's very, and it makes a lot more sense when I watch it the second time when you see like the cast people like taking bets like who's gonna live in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
because they know
Yeah.
what's getting ready to happen.
Very
They
Hunger
know.
Games
Yeah.
type of feel.
and that was
And then
very,
what they end up doing to her towards the end of the movie so they could carry out the
that
rest of the
was
mission.
that was the part that I didn't like.
You didn't like that?
You didn't like that?
I didn't like that because that's tonally not. You
What's too humanitarian?
would
It
no
set
one
up
would
a whole TV show.
no one
though.
would ever touch Amanda Waller. To hit her, knock her unconscious,
Technically, she didn't touch her.
knock her unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's look, she's okay. We'll get to that part. I just
it's not
wanna-
like she's a superhero
No,
or
but I'm
something, or
saying-
walks around
Right.
with bodyguards
her-
all over
her
the place.
Power is in her aura of she's always in control.
Yeah.
She's always pulling the strings. People are afraid of her not because of just what she like super villains and
Yeah.
super are afraid of this person. and she's regular because of what she knows, the influence she has.
Yeah.
So her staff who works for her knocks her out. If
Think
it
of
was
it-
that easy, then how come Bloodsport didn't just cut her throat?
Think
at
of it
the
like
very
this,
beginning?
right? You got a situation. Like, remember the scene where she's sitting there looking at what's happening, and she gets knocked out from behind, right? She can't see any of her employees in the room at all. She's looking at a screen. So while she would have the power to do something to everybody in that room, one, she doesn't know who did it. Two, she be getting rid of all her smartest people that help her through all her missions. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm saying it's not that she's so cocked diesel she can just make. I'm not saying that.
I
I'm
know what
saying
you're-
her staff should be so afraid of her and the retributions of what she's willing to kill a kid.
I'm saying they saw an opportunity. These smart people in this room saw an opportunity to like finish what they were trying to do, and they took it knowing that like it would not go that way.
It helps
because of the.
That's when
know what
that's
I'm
where the
saying?
whole fairy tale aspect of it comes in.
And then
Like,
on top of all
James
that,
Gunn took
the good
liberties there.
triumphs over evil.
James Gunn literally took liberties with that. That's not Amanda. Like nobody in her staff would ever. Because like I said,
Of course not.
Bloodsport literally had a knife to her throat, and she tells
Pen.
everyone around, stand down.
Pen.
A pin.
yeah.
And tells everyone to stand down. That's power. To
Yeah, it
say,
is.
you're not going to hurt me.
Yeah. And I'm
Not-
saying she in a room of all her like top best analysts in Argus, right? The smartest people in the room at any given time in that whole
She
building.
just murdered in
And
the
they
first
all
movie.
saw an opportunity to like finish this mission in like, the right, not effed up way that Amanda Waller was going to do it.
She
They saw
murdered
the
everybody in the room in the first movie because they didn't have clearance to be in the room with her.
These people, that's what I'm saying.
But these people
have
do.
all the they're these smartest.
people know
They
her.
probably know more than she does about this kind of stuff she's leading them into. So like, all I'm saying is they saw a sliver of an opportunity to like finish this shit off, and then on top of that, it sets up a whole narrative for the TV show that's coming
I
afterwards.
know.
Yeah,
That's why
so-
I said okay. I
You gotta
just
look
didn't
big
like
Hey, you
picture.
want to talk about people taking liberties with the script that motherfuckers didn't like? They said that Bloodsport shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, which half of Superman fans or anybody reading comic books would say that could never happen. How could Bloodsport be able to hit Superman, who's faster than the Flash, with a gun that has a kryptonite bullet in it? Like, people just don't agree with that, and that was like part of how that was part of Bloodsport's backstory.
Moving on.
You're
Like I
gonna
said,
take
that was-
liberties. It is what it is.
Yeah, because like I said, I wasn't a big fan of how she couldn't communicate with them half the time, and the thing was down. It was mainly just in service to have Harley Quinn do her little, this is another part where I didn't like. Harley Quinn was literally got like a solo movie within this movie again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that I think did not, like, I agree with Mimi, that did not serve the plot. Like, it's literally more character development, which is, okay, just give her movie and have her act this way. Because I hated Birds of Prey because she was not this character in Birds of Prey. She was something completely different. But, like, her character growth in it where she's like, well, I killed you because I dated the Joker, and the Joker was terrible, and I'm just.
You're just more of the same. And,
Yeah, It's like you're saying it without actually saying his name. Okay, that's fine.
I mean, Harley Quinn kind of became the MacGuffin, though, right? Mm-hmm. Of the whole movie. Like, it was like, if you don't have that piece there and that happening in the way it was, then she's just like either with the rest of the crew or off doing something like we don't know what it is. So like, I don't know. And then what she was doing, that whole situation was so Harley Quinn. Like, how could you not include something like that? All that crazy shit she did up in there, and then ended up fucking taking everybody out. Like,
I thought when she's, because I also appreciate Margot Robbie, because from what I understood, that whole scene where she's with the locked up and doing the thing, she did that herself.
yeah.
I had a lot of respect for her as just an actress to like physically put yourself in a position to do that, because they could have easily did some camera cuts and but I like that, and I thought how that was shot in her perspective with like the rainbow
And birds and flowers
that was
and
cool.
butterflies and shit.
That's fun. Like that's it. If you're gonna have a big dumb action movie, this is what this is, a big dumb action movie, make it unique.
And if you're gonna have a character like Harley Quinn and want to show something from her perspective, like, yeah, make it look crazy, yo. Like, that's what she be seeing. You know what I'm saying?
And then when she goes to pick them, and when they go to save her, which is I think is interesting, because Flag makes the call,
Yeah.
which lets me to believe this is a continuation of the first movie. even if they don't want to say it. Because why would Flag be like, oh, somebody who's completely expendable, I'm going to go off mission to go pick her up.
Because the idea is Flag has a heart. That's the idea.
Waller thought of her as expendable, but nobody else did. You know, Flag and anybody else on the actual task force didn't.
But only Flag cares about Harley Quinn. No one else was.
He was the one that made the call to go save her, and everybody else was like, "Okay, I feel you."
Because I respect you, we'll go do it. But like, she's at that point.
Because again, they didn't know her. Why would they care about someone they don't know?
Yeah, because so they literally, and then when she sees Flag, she literally is like, she's getting ready to go to freedom. Mm-hmm. She's earned her freedom. She's in the cab. She puts a javelin in, which is played for comedic purposes, obviously. And she sees Flag. She's like, okay. So then she goes and she sees them and she's like, hey, what are you guys doing? So Harley Quinn-ish, like, what's going on? What are we doing today? And she's like, we're coming to go save you. And Bloodsport takes it as when she says, I could go back inside if you guys want me to.
You can still save me if you want.
Yeah, Bloodsport's like, that's condescending, but no, if it's condescending if she doesn't mean exactly what she's saying.
Yeah. She really meant that.
Yeah, if you guys really wanted to go,
I will go back
she'd have gone back in,
again.
shackled herself back up, and just waited for them to come get her.
Yeah, because if this
and acted surprised
and killed whoever else showed up inside that joint.
Right.
For her, it was thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that hug between her and Flag. I don't like I said this
and
is
like
a big
awkwardly like tapping her with the gun, like
caressing her with the gun almost.
Okay,
but it's like, it's done that because as you know, like that's a long hug.
Mm-hmm.
In a movie like that, that's meant to show I miss you. Mm-hmm. That's also meant to kind of be like a goodbye. Also, because of what happened.
I mean, usually, but like just because of all the stuff around this hug, like that hug was obviously meant to show the dichotomy between the two characters.
Yeah, there's history there.
Yeah,
and like I said, that's why I say that only makes sense if you're counting the Birds of Prey. And it's like I said, she's completely she's still Harley Quinn because she's still wild and crazy, but what she's gone through, she's completely learned from the first Suicide Squad movie where she's learned to be in a group and learned how to, and she's down.
And learned that the Joker wasn't good for her. And
yeah. So all these things.
And she lost some of that malicious streak.
Yeah.
She lost a little bit of that, and I think that was just her being separated from the Joker.
Yeah.
And carving her own path. So there is certain things character even though I feel like
I really like her what they've been doing with Harley Quinn. They made her own character. You know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff they've been doing, I think is like
subtly, but then also very intentionally and very much like she's the star of the movie in a way. But we can disagree with how they interwove her in. Mm-hmm. But if you look at it from just individual parts, that was nice to see Flag and her have that reunion if you're invested in from the first movie.
Absolutely.
So
it's kind of like one of those things where, like, earlier we were saying, it's not a sequel, it's not a reboot, it's like a soft reboot kind of thing, like another story in the same world, and I'm pretty sure they had to take careful steps to make sure that it was clear that it was a different movie, but also clear that it connected to all the other stuff. Because, I mean, that's what DC is trying to do right now, right? They're trying to, like, connect.
They're trying to pull Marvel.
All their stuff. Yeah. So, like, they kind of had to, like, I feel like they threw certain stuff, like, in there, like that with the hug with Flag and Harley, just kind of connect the two things together.
Because they're trying to strike a balance between not being a Marvel movie and not necessarily being a typical DC movie.
Yeah, because like they gotta keep the darkness of DC in there. Like that's one of the things that makes DC what it is like that dark streak to a lot of the characters. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But
so, it was like a cross between like a Deadpool and like a within like the comedy, playing it up with comedy, and also sort of being a movie with some sort of substance. Because the villain that we find out in this story is really the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a very...
Because I even, like, talking about character development.
Yeah.
So, what do they call it? Starro? The Starro, the Conqueror or something like that. Yo, I got sad at the end. I'm like, granted, this thing is fucking the world up right now. Yeah. And if it's allowed to get off this island and just go do its own thing, it's going to be very, very bad for everybody.
But it has a point.
But it had
Yeah,
it made me sad when the creature was like dying. Like all it was saying was, I was happy floating out in space, staring at the stars.
Y'all took me, yo.
I started getting misty-eyed. I'm like, this thing is literally killing hundreds of people, and yet I'm like sympathizing with this thing. Character development.
Yeah.
Because it's saying, I've been tortured for the past.
I've been
30 years.
captivated.
Mhm.
I've been captive. I've been experimented with. I've been neglected. I've been abused. Like this creature, you think like, oh, it's this big bad thing that needs to be contained, but it's like it's been a
Of course,
victim.
want to kill everybody.
It's been as much a victim as the citizens of the island who were being oppressed by the oppressive government. And then you turn around and find out, oh, the bad guy is someone you don't even physically see in the entire film.
I want to go to. I thought John Cena for this kind of. He was
Why does he always do characters
Yo,
like
John
this?
Cena. I do not enjoy watching anything John Cena does. He just annoys me. But I feel like he's perfect for Peacemaker, yo. He is like the same brand of douchebag, yo.
No,
honestly, I don't really know anything about John Cena. Honestly,
I'm sure he's a lovely man.
If I looked into more John Cena stuff than I have, I probably have a little bit of a different opinion. But like, I think he's corny as hell, yo.
100%.
And like, he fit that Peacemaker role perfectly. They picked the exact right person for that.
And he was he had surprising depth in that role.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think subtly, when you go through it the first time, you're like, he's for laughs. His whole appearance is played up for laughs. But when he has the situation,
I need a whole bag of dicks on this beach for freedom.
this whole beach was full of dicks.
I'd eat it.
I had to eat all of them. I definitely would.
For justice.
For justice and
But
freedom.
That's like a wink, right? Because
Yeah.
he's winking to you. I believe in the cause so much
Yes.
that
I will
do
there's
whatever.
whatever
Anything.
it takes.
Including
finish the mission.
blast you in the face.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought that was, like I said, the movie sort of subtly winking at you. I thought the scene when they wake up in the jungle and Polka Dot Man does this,
Oh, yeah.
and then John Cena's in this tidy whities, just
Yes.
like, I'm like,
Chilling.
what in the hell is going on here? And then I thought this scene with when him and Idris Elba's character are like playing who's the better killer.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice.
That was good.
That was cool. Like, I'm with Mimi in this. If you just have it be this movie, and maybe, like I said, Harley Quinn should have her. She's almost too big for what they're doing here in this sort of movie.
They keep trying to make. She's a sub character, but she's not.
Yeah, she's almost too big for the movie.
You know what they really messed up, though? They, like, Harley Quinn has always been attached to the Joker first and foremost, right? Even but before she goes off and do her own thing or whatever.
Right.
They messed the Joker thing up.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
They butchered that.
That Joker was terrible.
They butchered that so much.
Yeah, and so she's sort of been adrift.
Yeah.
But I felt like the movie
It solidified her, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But I feel like with John, the big scenes were where he's fighting Flag, and it pained him to kill Flag.
Yeah.
He didn't want to fight Flag. It was like that was the subtle character stuff where it was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this because this is my duty, but I did genuinely like you. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just
yeah.
this villain that's just out here. Like, I thought that's pretty good. That's,
Even same thing with Ratcatcher too. When he was ready, he was ready to basically blow her head.
I like that as much though. I'm thorough. Come on.
I mean, but here's the thing, where it's like he said that, but he did not say it matter of factly. He had a very pained expression on his face because he's like, I'm thorough. I'm sorry, kid. I'm thorough.
He did say, "I'm sorry, kid."
It's not even a matter of like I'm thorough. Like
It's
it
just
was
what I
like
do. I'm
this
not
is
bad.
just part of the mission. I have to make sure that all loose ends are tied, and unfortunately, you've become a loose end.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's just
You know way too much.
Exactly.
You know it's on there. It's
Exactly.
just as much as you
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't think he took any. He was going to take absolutely just like with Flag. He took no pleasure in the idea of having to
I take
kill.
that back. You're right.
You know.
That totally makes sense because it's her knowing that information. It's one thing to retrieve the information.
Mm-hmm.
To know what's on there is the loose end and is being
Yeah,
thorough. So
exactly.
you're right.
Right.
You know that played out well.
Yeah.
So
Because if he wasn't sorry, he wouldn't have even like given a preliminary "I'm sorry." He'd have just been like,
That would just kept moving to the next thing.
which is a really great way of spinning him off. I thought the scene where Idris Elba, Bloodsport character, just drops and they say nothing, and they just up their guns at each other and shoot because nothing else needs to be said. I don't need you the explanation. You're pointing a gun at somebody who I see as a daughter-like figure. I have said that earlier.
Yep.
I'm going to make sure she gets out of this. Yeah. I don't care how we got to this point. She's not going to die on my watch.
Dad mode activated.
Yeah, and he knows that. And so he doesn't hesitate. So they both shoot. And coincidentally, what John Cena says earlier in the movie about my bullets go inside your bullets. Is exactly yeah.
Because even he was like
how'd you do it?
Smaller bullets.
Smaller bullets, mate.
Because like I said, when they first meet each other, he's like, wait a minute, is this a joke? He does exactly the same thing that I do.
Yeah,
I just do it better.
I just do it better. Yeah, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's good.
I'm like, oh, that's kind of, a white guy telling a black guy he does everything he does, but better.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a little tone deaf, but okay. It worked out perfectly in the end.
Yeah, no, and then when because at first I'm like, what is Ratcatcher 2 doing in this movie at all?
Can someone explain to me why she's so damn tired? Does she have
get
narcolepsy?
I forget.
It has something
to do with
tired.
her ability, right? I just don't remember what it is.
Yeah, that's not emphasized enough because I didn't understand that either.
Millennial.
Yeah. That whole time, like, that was wrong because she was like 20-something.
Like
I know.
a Gen Zer, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, she's like
that
20.
made me feel old. I'm like, wait a minute, she's a baby. Quit calling her a millennial. The reason that made me laugh though, because that was like a peacemaker type thing to say. Like that kind of person. Of course, he would say, "Oh, the millennials."
Yeah,
lazy.
But whoever wrote that obviously doesn't understand the difference between Gen Z and
No,
millennial.
I'm saying they wrote that like that on purpose. They had peacemakers saying that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to use this word to just disdainly talk about like anyone younger than them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it was cool. I personally think that James Gunn did a pretty great job at tonally in parts of the movie. There's some parts where you can clean up. There's no perfect movie.
Yeah,
no,
there's
and out of 10, and which is like, because to me, no movie is ever going to get a 10, because I don't think there's anything that's perfect in this world. So if I'm going to rate something as...
The Dark Knight was pretty perfection.
No, that's a 9.
No?
I'll give it a 9.5.
It was a 9. Like Forrest Gump.
It's a real analytical ass 9.5 though, because like the problems I had, had a lot to do with like shooting camera stunts and stuff like that.
Okay, so from a cinematic point of view,
like I said, movies are just 9s. Like for me, from my grading scale, movies it goes from 9.
I did.
Pulp Fiction level. 8 is great. 7 is good, and 6. Well, let me go. 9 is great. 8 is good. 7, you should probably see it. And 6, it's passable. You have it on while you're vacuuming. Anything under a 6 is like where we get into degrees of bad.
Yeah. Like straight to TV. Don't even bother.
The first Justice League.
So to me, this is a 7 because I had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun watching it. I had fun because I was never in any, like from the very beginning. I was where the whole dude has the arms that detach.
Oh yeah. His name was TDK, and they were like, "What does that mean?" It's just my name. Like he didn't want everybody to know that K meant kid.
So I was like, from the very beginning, it told you what it was, and it was meant to have fun, and I had fun watching it. And like I said, there was some parts that didn't feel like it was supposed to be a part of this movie, which is compared to the first movie, it's way less when you had the egos of the director and Will Smith and Margot Robbie and Joker doing their own movie, and then you had the Suicide Squad. So this is at least less disjointed while still sort of being disjointed, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I liked how but at the end, everybody seemed sympathetic, including the supervillain, which was the government. And I thought it was cool. And I think that's the best way to do an action / superhero movie. And what was your rating?
I say like an 8.5. I guess I clearly enjoyed it more than the you two guys, but
No,
I
I
don't
thought
know.
it was a 7. I thought it was definitely watchable.
A lot of the stuff that like we've been talking about being like maybe not fitting or not belonging, I kind of saw as like more important. You know what I mean? Like I really felt like a lot of stuff helped drive the story drive the story forward. Two, help them keep true to who all the characters were. You know what I mean? Or who they're going to be or whatever it is. And it gave them a way to like spring some other stuff off of this movie, like that TV show and some other stuff. I thought it was well done. I do think the parts with Harley Quinn getting captured and all that stuff like fit perfect because like although it was like a whole side adventure, like what superhero movie does not have that? And second, that whole entire sequence was totally Harley Quinn. You know what I'm saying? It like it played into the plot because she was, who's the guy that married her? I forget. Was he like general or something? Or
It was the president.
It was
oh, it was the president.
It was
Right,
the president. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the president of that country. Well, I don't know. I felt like it fit together nicely. I think.
That's fair. Like I said, there's certain parts. Like I said, I think, like I said, Harley Quinn is her own franchise, and Margot Robbie is also great as Harley Quinn.
Yep.
And so, what would you give it?
I'm giving it a 6 only because I feel like I watched only half a movie. Not a 5. I can't go any higher than 6.
Good perspective on the, like every movie has parts of it that you don't like, and sometimes you can dislike a lot of it. But then, like you said, the ending and how they ended up, I liked it. I wouldn't change that at all.
No.
I like how they ended up where they were.
Yeah.
And how
Second half of the movie was perfectly fine. I had no qualms about the second half of the movie at all.
and it was purposeful. I knew James Gunn was going for a very light and great ending to a movie because of we've had to deal with so much shit over
Yeah.
the past. Give us something good to feel. That's why people liked it. It gave us something to feel good about.
Like at the end, it all ended up like all right.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
he's accepting the rat, which is earned.
Yeah,
'Cause
That was
yeah,
so
yeah.
cute.
That was
Because he was so
earned.
freaked out because he was like,
I remember at the very first scene when he was waving at him.
Like,
he's like,
No.
was that rat
Waving at him.
waving at me?
no, and then Peacemaker's like, wait, you forgot the rat. And I was like, oh, that's so
Yo,
good.
we didn't talk about like my favorite character in the movie at all.
Go ahead.
The shark.
Oh, I knew it was gonna be. What is it?
I forget.
Nanawe.
Nanawe.
Yeah.
Yo.
That. Oh. Oh, Nanawe.
The scene when he went in the aquarium.
Yes.
It was like.
like playing with the little jelly thing. I said when my husband and I started watching that scene where he's like, "Oh, what are those things?" And I was like, "Is that what a sea monkey looks like if it's allowed to reach maturity?"
God.
But think about it. Like they got
Yeah,
the,
like,
got
I
the
never
little
really thought
wispy
about that.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
They've got like kind of bulbousy sort of like eyes. I'm like, that's probably what a sea monkey's supposed to look like if it were ever allowed to reach maturity.
Yeah.
Until the whole homicidal nom nom thing, but
I thought it was the funniest part in the movie was when he's like, I'm gonna come in with you guys, and he comes and he has like the little mustache.
I would have disguised.
And then I didn't catch this the first time, but like Bloodsport looks at him and is like, worst disguise ever. But then he turns and he gives like a big wry smile to Ratcatcher too.
Yeah,
It's just like look at this fool trying to like it wasn't just him being dismissive of Nawawe. It was him sort of like, come on, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Like you. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my boy trying to wear a hat.
Yeah,
What's he doing? Yeah. Right? Like
No, he was my favorite character in that movie. I think just because he was so innocent with everything he was doing, yo.
Adorable. I mean, outside of the,
trying
Well,
to
yeah,
eat
yeah,
Ratcatcher
people,
too.
but his like mentality
Yeah.
was like when you first meet him, he's reading a book.
upside down.
He's like reading.
Or in that meeting, and Waller was like, "Any other questions?" And he was like,
Or he's like, and then everybody's talking about something serious, and he's like, bird.
Yeah. It's like, Nanawe, get off the radio.
Like Nanawe, off the comps. Like, oh my God, that's great. Like, That's why I say
Man.
I appreciated. I felt like, unlike the other movie where like Will Smith tried to make me care about this character, I organically started to care about these characters.
You know what sucks about that? The first movie though,
What?
if they would have cast somebody else as Deadshot, people would have thought that movie was a lot better. I think.
You talking about like Idris Elba?
No.
Actually, I think if it had been,
Oh, you mean no, like no bullshit.
You
Yes.
get what I'm saying?
Yes, because
if it had been Idris Elba from the beginning,
That's
exactly
it's
why that
better.
character's in the second movie in the first place.
But
Yeah.
that's why it's better.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he doesn't look at it like this is a scene I need to take over. He does his part in the scene and lets the other person do their part in the scene.
Yeah,
he
played
did
his
funny
role, yeah.
badass in this movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
He did funny bad. He came in clutch when he needed to, but he also had enough wherewithal to not take everything super
Yeah, man,
don't need
it's
to
just
have-
always good for that, man.
Sometimes less is more. Because like even when he makes the decision, we're going to go fight the starfish. All he does is say, "Shit," and he like turns back.
Yep.
And
That's it.
Now the only part about that that's a little weird is this is why I wish Harley Quinn was there more. Because if Harley Quinn was there more, it would make more sense as to why she'd be following him when doing this. Because they're all risking their lives doing it.
Right.
All the rest of them made sense. She just met him 2 minutes ago.
But didn't she, when she met him, weren't the rest of the team was together, including Rick Flag, right?
Yeah.
That's why. Because like she got that connection to Flag, who she's done missions with before.
But Flag's dead at that point.
Oh, he's dead. Are you
Yeah,
sure?
he's dead.
He's dead at that point.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
dead at that point.
Yes.
Okay,
He
okay.
is dead at
That's
by
why I
that
said.
point.
That's why I said that's the only thing with Harley Quinn where that she just met all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Flag isn't there, and she's willing to die, and maybe because she's willing to die because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But
then
is it that though, or is it just some Harley shit to do to just be like, oh, there's guns and shit? Like, I'm on this side because I'm standing with y'all. Let's go.
It could even be something even as simple as that thing is a threat. These guys over here seem to be going against the threat, so I'm gonna help.
And she's
They
not-
know the guy that I was cool with.
Right.
Oh, no,
so
let's
there's the
roll with it,
logic,
you know
like
what I mean? Like,
association and
it
it
goal
ain't strong
setting.
or nothing.
I wish
No,
it had,
but it's-
like I said, I just
it's
wish it would have
something.
been a little longer,
Yeah.
where she's making it, because then it's a group decision and not just. But then again, Harley Quinn, as soon as at the very beginning of the movie, Amanda Waller's like, no, Flag's like trying to abandon ship, and Amanda Waller's like, no, the mission is you staying here because they're the distraction, and then Harley Quinn's like, fine,
Okay.
shoots the rocket launcher, right?
Yeah.
Like that's her.
That's her.
And,
yeah.
and I guess maybe that scene is there to explain the scene at the end where she's just like, all right, fine, we're gonna
That's what
die.
she mean. It's not that tight of a connection. Like that could definitely be why she did it, but like,
Yeah.
could have like fleshed out that a little more. Like,
Yeah.
had a line in there or something like, oh well, you know, Flag was my guy, so I guess I'm gonna roll with y'all or
Yeah.
something like that. I feel what
Flag
you're saying.
respected you guys, so I'm here. 'Cause
Right.
like I said, that would give a little bit more meaning to the hug and all the rest of it. So yeah, but other than that, I think it was a great spiritual successor to the first movie that was pretty bad.
It was awful.
And this movie was better. And shout out to Idris Elba, because like I said, he literally replaced the character of Deadshot and did his thing and did it in an understated way. And by the end, you just had a very good feel good movie, and that's kind of what we needed right now.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
real.
absolutely.
Can't wait for that video game
And
though.
hopefully, we can continue bringing you guys content, if I can speak, content like that more often on the Semi Pro Joe's network.
Yep.
And we're out.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Y'all.